we are back with the one and only EKSE. Now, here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Political correctness can, without a doubt, be a good thing.
Yes.
Taking the thoughts of other people into account is just, it's fundamental as a society and as human beings. As in demonstrating that our world is becoming a fairer place in which everyone, regardless of your gender, sexuality, skin color, religion, and more, has an equal chance and right not to face discrimination.
Yes.
We decided to weigh in on the topic and discuss the recent Roald Dahl books. And I think, you know, the three of us, we've got some opinions.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
We've got some
guys,
chats.
These are just our opinions. If you have your own, make sure we love to hear them on our Instagram pages. It is _live on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. The first question I have for you, my lovely co-host, is: do you guys think that children's books should be censored? Should be made to be rather politically correct?
It's such a tough one.
I like the fact that these are the questions that you can't really just get into it.
Yeah.
You have to think about it because there's so many things that are involved in it.
Yeah.
And I would say yes, because times are changing, people are changing, the way of communication, because people have to look at it in so many ways that the way we were living 5 years and 10 years ago, that's why our parents would be like, this is not how we used to do things in our time.
Yeah.
So now times have changed that you'd find people, I don't know if it's the internet or do we say people are being a bit too sensitive to it? Or is it just us trying to find a way of that, okay, this can bring a solution to a whole lot of problems. We're not saying it's going to fix the whole thing, but it's going to play a role in doing change, because with change, you don't expect everything to just be at once, but it is going to, it can play a huge role, yes. So I think, that's what I think.
What do you think?
You know, I think it's one of those things, if you think about, I mean, none of us have kids, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things, and it's one of those things, but when you think about children,
Yeah.
or like toddlers or babies, they learn to talk, they learn to eat, they learn to walk, and they learn to think.
Yes. Yeah.
They learn to think through school, through parents, through peers, and through books.
Yeah.
And so I think as humans, like, we're very, you know, we're so fast to like things need to stay the same way. And I get that's where things like tradition ties in and the beauty of history.
Yeah.
But as humans, we're meant to evolve.
Yeah.
We're meant to
that's
grow.
part of
We're
human
meant to
nature.
change.
Yeah.
So it's so tricky, but I do think it makes sense to
Yeah.
check the same way that there's settings on YouTube or settings on the internet when you know your teenager or your young child's going through the internet.
Yeah, I think for me it's pretty much like how I explained before the ad break, because some of the things that I mentioned out there maybe to you might not be offensive. For example, one of the books I will say midgets, or will say short people or little people. But maybe if other midget community, or rather the other little people out there, saying actually that word is offensive to us. So therefore it shouldn't be about what Lwa thinks as an average height human
You can't
being.
tell me what to do, I'll say whatever I'm gonna say,
It should be about what the people who are being affected by those words are saying. For example, I can't make comments about LGBTQIA community and then I'd be like, well, it's what Lwa thinks as a straight person. It's not my place to make those comments.
Don't we allow, okay, you saying and mentioning that point, where does freedom of speech come in now? I do understand that. Does it come in, because I can say something, but not really being offensive, but voicing out how I feel about it.
Yeah.
So where do we draw the line? Is it because when you are being offensive, that's where we draw the line? Or is it because we're like now limiting you to saying, you can't really think the way you do because it's wrong?
Can I interject real quickly? I just think for me, it has to come from a place of someone who's experiencing it. You don't have the experiences of a person who is maybe smaller or a person who is in a different type of community. You don't have the experiences. So you can't say, oh guys, you should feel like this because you've never been in their place. So for me, it becomes such a subjective when you're saying, no, but you shouldn't feel like that because you've never been in their shoes.
Okay. It's such a
That's
chat,
my
right?
thing.
It's I feel like it's 100%, like I feel 100% the same.
Yeah.
I feel like me as a white person, I can't talk to being black because I'm not black.
Absolutely.
And Sibu can't talk to being a woman because he's not a woman.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you were talking about freedom of speech. And I think freedom of speech is so important, but there is a line. Freedom of speech is, you know, I like my coffee this way, or I want to live in this suburb. Freedom of speech is not, I don't like that group of people.
Yeah.
You know, because as soon as it impedes on
that's
like
hate speech.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is,
exactly.
it is,
As soon as it impedes on downgrading somebody's humanity. It's no longer freedom of speech. Then it's just hate speech, guys.
Okay, you guys mentioning that. Now, since you said that you grew up actually reading those books, don't you feel like somehow there's something that's being taken away from you because of how you read the books and how raw it was, and that's what made it magical, and that's why he sold over 3 million copies. So is it you feeling, because do we blame people for feeling like something is being taken away from them, or they're just being too sensitive about this issue?
Yo, it's Kati. Time.
We've got so little time and so many things to talk about.
Quite literally. And unfortunately, we have to come to a wrap, and we have to actually find out what the people in the streets are saying. And I think that's super important that you guys get to give us your opinions. Right now, Lwandile, Lorizi, Mr. Presenter, keep quiet. Let's hear what the people in the streets are saying.
We can ever fully be politically correct because everything is always constantly changing. There's always something new that's going to be introduced. There's always going to be something that's going to offend someone in the next 5 years or whatever. But I think it's important that if you're talking about a specific issue like race, for example, the author should go around in the times right now and be like, okay, what are people complaining about? What is controversial? What is this? What is that? And then making meaningful pieces of work that are going to help this child grow in this current society to be a better person and a nice human being in general. You don't have to like write a freaking thesis or something, if that makes sense.
Because like politics, it's a very subjective matter. So I don't think one can really determine, because what I may think is politically correct to one person, it's a different story to another. So that one, I don't really have an answer to it.
Like, you know, as parents, you know, like sometimes most of the time at home you don't really read anything and your parents don't really buy any books, but I feel like it's the school's duty to kind of like be inclusive and also not changing too much, but also taking like into consideration about like other people that don't identify as or are growing up in a different environment than others, just being thoughtful.
I guess just check what your children is reading and stuff, man. Like you don't have to change, modify the written piece, you know. Yeah.
I feel like it's half and half. Some people are saying, what the hell are you doing? Other people are saying, you know what, might as well change it. But either way, thank you so much for being in the streets and giving us your amazing, incredible opinions. Remember to do the same thing on our social media platforms. That is EKSE Live on Instagram, on Twitter, as well as on Facebook. Answer our social media question for the day, which is, do you think children's books should be made to be politically correct? Make sure you guys are answering that. Of course, the Princess of Presenting is still in the building. Lorizi is in the building. Mr. Sibu, Mr. Presenter is also in the building. What's coming up on the show today is you guys can get to win double tickets to Galaxy K Day with us, Cape Town TV, as well as KFM. Make sure you stay tuned after ad break. Lauren and Sibu talk all things that.